Hello everyone, and today we are going to start with the Kingdom of Fools. So the chapter is in the Kingdom of Fools. Let's read the chapter, and I'm going to explain you this chapter. So let's see. It is believed that fools are so dangerous that only very wise people can manage them. This is a story which gives you a practical example. So, in the kingdom of fools, both the king and the ministers were basically the idiots, and they didn't want to run their kingdom like the other kings. So, they decided to change night into day and day into night. यानी कि जो रात होती है वो दिन बन जाएगी और जो दिन होती है वो रात बन जाएगी. दैट मीन्स वो वर्क्स जो नाइट में करे जाते हैं और वो सब दिन में होंगे और जो काम दिन में किए जाते हैं वो सब रात में होंगे. सो लाइक रात में अगर हम सोते हैं तो अब हम सोएंगे कब? दिन में. और दिन में हम अपना सारा एक्टिविटीज़ करते हैं, वर्क्स करते हैं, अपने ऑफिस जाते हैं, जॉब करते हैं, तो वो अब सब कुछ रात में होंगे. So he said, they ordered that everyone should awake at night till their fields and run the businesses only after dark and go to bed as soon as the sun came up. तो जो काम दिन में किए जाते हैं जैसे कि लाइक दिन में हम उठते हैं और अपने वर्क करते हैं जैसे कि फील्ड्स को टिलिंग करना, अपने बिजनेसेस को चलाना, running their businesses. So these works are going to happen in the night now. So people will awake at night till their fields, run their businesses, and only after dark they would be so these are the works they are going to do only after dark. That means dark के बाद. तो जब रात हो जाएगी तभी वो ये सब काम कर पाएंगे. Now what they are going to do in night, these works, and what they're going to do in the daytime, they are going to go to bed as soon as the sun came up. That means जैसे ही sunrise होगा they are going to go for sleep. Now anyone who disobeyed these rules, he would be punished with death. So people did as they were told for the fear of death, and the king and the ministers were delighted at the success of their project. One day, what happened? A guru and his chela, means a disciple, guru and disciple, they arrived in city. It was a beautiful city and it was broad daylight, that means दिन का समय था. But there was no one about, roaming here and there in that city. So हर कोई सोया हुआ था, कोई स्ट्रीट पे नहीं था. Everyone was asleep, not a mouse chewing. एक माउस यहाँ तक कि वो भी जागा हुआ नहीं था, हर कोई सो रहा था. Even the cattle had been taught to sleep by the day. The two strangers were amazed by what they saw around them. That night during the day everyone is sleeping, everyone is in deep sleeps, and wandered around town till evening, when suddenly the whole town woke up and went about in its nightly business. So what happened, that to those strangers they were amazed by what they saw around them and wandered around town till evening. तो ये जो दोनों थे ये इवनिंग तक इधर उधर घूमते रहे, रात तक इधर उधर घूमते रहे जब तक रात नहीं आ गई. And when the night came, when the moon came, then suddenly the whole town woke up and went about its nightly business. Means अपने सारे वर्क्स में वो सब लग गए. The two men were hungry. Now that the shops were open, they went to buy some groceries. To their astonishment, what they saw, that everything cost a single dudu. So everything cost the same, a single dudu. Dudu was the currency. Whether they bought a measure of rice or a bunch of bananas, it cost a dudu. सो अगर आप मेजर ऑफ राइस लाते हो या आप अगर bunch of bananas लाते हो, it cost a doodoo. So the guru and his disciple were delighted. The guru and his disciple were delighted that oh God, अब काम चल रहा है यहाँ पे, अब हमारे को भूख लग रही है और हम कुछ खरीद लेंगे. So they had never heard of for anything like this. They could buy all the foods they wanted for a rupee. When they had cooked and eaten, the Guru realized that this was a kingdom of fools. ये एक मूर्खों की kingdom थी and it won't be a good idea. ये सही नहीं होगा for them to stay there because it was a kingdom of fools and there is no place for us to live. Let's go, he said to the disciple. Who said to the disciple? Guru said to his disciple. But the disciple didn't want to leave the place because he was in the great greed of the food. So इतना ज़्यादा उसमें लालच था that he was not ready to leave this place. So everything was cheap here. All he wanted was good cheap food. The Guru said, they are all fools. They won't last very long. They are all fools. This won't last very long. मतलब जो अभी अपन मज़े कर रहे हैं ये बहुत लंबे समय तक नहीं चलेंगी. And you can't tell what they will do to you next. But the disciple would not listen to the Guru's wisdom. He wanted to stay there. The Guru finally gave up. That means he quit the place and said, do what you want. I am going, and left. Now disciple stayed on, ate his fill every day. बहुत सारा खाता पीता, bananas खाता, ghee and rice and wheat, and grew fat like a street side sacred bull. So एकदम बुल की तरह वो मोटा हो गया था. बनानास, घी, राइस, wheat, इनको खा खा के ही grew. Now one bright day what happened? A thief broke in the rich merchant's house and he made a hole in the wall. So एक rich merchant के घर पे एक thief आता है और वो wall में hole बनाता है and he sneaked in. He went in and as he was carrying his loot out of the house, the wall of the old house collapsed. That means fall on his head and killed him on the spot. So the thief was now being killed. He was not being killed, but it was an accident because of which he died. Now this merchant is to now what happened that his brother, whose brother? Thief's brother, ran to the king and complained. A wall fell on him and killed him. This merchant is to blame. He should have built a good, strong wall. You must punish the wrongdoer and compensate the family for the injustice. So what this man said that कि मेरा जो brother था he was persuading his ancient trade and ये जो merchant है इसके घर की wall मेरे brother के ऊपर गिर गई. Now I want justice. Please do the justice for me. Now the king said, justice will be done. Don't worry. And at once summoned the owner of the house. Now when the merchant arrived, the king questioned him, what's your name? Such and such, your highness. Merchant said, now were you at home when the dead man burgled your house? Means entered your house for loot. So the merchant said, yes, my lord. He broke in and the wall was weak. It fell on him. The accused pleads guilty. Your wall killed the man's brother. So what that king said, this king said कि तुम्हारी जो वॉल है उसने एक इनोसेंट मैन को मार दिया है, इस व्यक्ति के भाई को मार दिया है. Okay, so now what happened next is you have murdered a man and now you will have to be punished. So king ordered कि तुमने एक man का murder किया है, now you have to be punished for that. Lord, Who said this? Helpless merchant said this. I didn't put up the wall. I didn't constructed the wall. It's really the fault of the man who built the wall. He didn't build it right. You should punish him. So what he said that I didn't build the wall. So who had built it has to be punished, not I. Who is that, my lord? This wall was built in my father's time, very many years ago. I know the man. He is an old man now. He lives nearby. So the man who constructed the wall is now an old man and he lives nearby. The king sent out messengers to bring in the bricklayer. Bricklayer means the person who constructed the wall. Now they brought him and tied him, tied hands and foot. So अब उसके हाथों को बांधा, उसके पैरों को बांधा. You there? Did not, you there? Did you build this man's wall in his father's time? So वो कहता है king that क्या तुमने वो wall को बनाया था at his father's time? So he said, yes, my lord, I did. What kind of wall you had made? It has fallen on a poor man and killed him. You have murdered a man and now you have to be punished by death. Now, before the king ordered the execution, the poor bricklayer said that please listen to me first before you give your order. It's true I built the wall and it was not good because I was distracted by a dancing girl who was going up and down that street all day with her anklets jingling पायल खनखन रहे थे and that distracted me and I could not keep my eyes or my mind on the wall I was building. So you must get that dancing girl. I know where she lives. So now this dancing girl was the old lady. So king brought that girl. King called that lady now and she was an old woman and king said that this case depends. We must look into it. It is not easy to judge such complicated cases. Let's get that dancer wherever she is. Now the dancer was called and did you walk up and down that street many years ago? So while this poor man was building a wall, did you see him? Who said this? So what happened is that did you walk up and down that street many years ago while this poor man was building the wall? King questioned to the poor and the old lady. So did you see him? So she said, yes, my lord. I remembered it very well. I was walking up and down with my anklets jingling and this distracted my mind. This distracted his mind. This distracted this bricklayer's mind. So he built a bad wall. So ये बात कौन कहता है? किंग बोलता है टू द लेडी दैट यू नो कि तुम ऊपर नीचे वॉक कर रही थी, तुम्हारे एंकलेट्स जिंगल कर रहे थे और तुम जब ऊपर नीचे जा रही थी तुम डिस्ट्रैक्ट कर रही थी इस ब्रिकलेयर को एंड दैट इज़ वाई ये जो ब्रिकलेयर था ही कुड नॉट एबल टू मेक अ स्ट्रॉन्ग वॉल and it has fallen on a poor burglar and killed him. You have killed an innocent man. You have to be punished now. She thought for a minute and said, my lord, wait, I know now why I was walking up and down the street. I had given some gold to the goldsmith to make some jewelry for me, and that goldsmith was lazy scoundrel. He made so many excuses to make my jewelry. He said, I'm going to give you today, I'm going to give you that day. Then So he said that he made so many excuses that he would give me now and he would give me then and so on all days. So he made me walk up so on all up and down to his house a dozen times, means that 12 times I moved up and down and up and down across the street. So that was when this bricklayer saw me. It is not my fault, my lord. It's the damned goldsmith's fault. Poor thing, she is absolutely right. Who said this? King said this. Not said, but he thought. Now he was finding the evidences. Now we have got the real culprit at last, got that goldsmith wherever he is hiding. So at once, he ordered to bring that goldsmith to the in front of the king. The king's bailiffs, मतलब जो किंग के सर्वेंट्स थे जो उनकी बात सुनते थे, उन्होंने गोल्डस्मिथ को सर्च किया एंड who he was hiding in the corner of his shop. Who was hiding in the corner of his shop, and when he heard the accusation against him, he had his own story to tell. And what was that story? So, my lord, he said, I am poor goldsmith, and it's true I made this chancer come many times to my door. I gave her excuses because I couldn't finish her jewelry before I finished the work of or the work of the rich merchant. So जब तक मैंने रिच मर्चेंट का काम नहीं किया तब तक मैं इसका काम नहीं कर पाया था. They had a wedding coming and they won't wait. You know how impatient rich men are. Okay, now what happened? Who is the rich merchant who kept you from finishing the poor woman's jewelry? So made her walk up and down, which distracted this bricklayer, and at last mess hua Volga and the innocent man was killed. Can you name him? Can you name that rich merchant? So Goldsmith named the merchant and he was none other than the original owner of the house. तो जो house का owner था वही था असली rich merchant whose wall had fallen. Now justice had come full circle, thought the king, back to the merchant. Now when he was rudely summoned, means called back to the court, he arrived crying, it wasn't me, but my father who ordered the jewelry. He is dead. I am innocent. But the king consulted his minister and ruled decisively. It's true, your father is the true murderer, but now he is no more. Your father is died. You have inherited all his property, his wills, and now it is time to also inherit all his sins, all his crimes. I knew at once, even when I first set eyes on you, that you are going to be the root of this horrible crime. Now you must die. And he ordered a new stake to be made ready for the execution. As the servants sharpened the stake and got it ready for final impaling of the criminal, it occurred to the minister that the rich merchant was somehow too thin to be properly executed on the stake. Now he appealed to the king's common sense. The king too worried about it. The king was worried that yes, ये man तो बहुत thin है. We needed a fatty man who could fit to the stake. So what happened that, what shall we do? He said, when suddenly it struck him that all they needed to do was to find a fatty man. The servants were immediately sent all over the town looking for a man who could fit to the stake and who could be killed on behalf of that rich merchant. And their eyes fell on the disciple who had fattened himself for months on bananas and geese and rice and wheats. So this was the fatty disciple. What have I done wrong? I am innocent. I am a sannyasi, he cried. That may be true, the king said, but it's the bailiff said, sorry, the servant said that maybe you are a sannyasi, but it's the royal decree, that means a royal order, that we should find a man fat enough to fit the stake, they said, and carried him to the place of execution. He remembered his wise guru's words. This is a city of fools. So now he remembered the wise words that his um, guru spoke out. So the words were that you don't know what they will do next to you. So he said that this is a city of fools, एक city of fool है. You don't know what they will do next. While he was waiting for death, he prayed to his guru in his heart, asking him to hear his cry wherever he was. The guru saw everything in a vision. He had magic powers. He could see far and he could see the future as he could see the present and the past. So what happened that जो गुरु था वो ये बोलता है कि the guru can see the past, he could see the present, he could see the future. So what happened now? He arrived at once to serve his disciple who had got himself into such a scrape through love of fame. As soon as he arrived, he scolded the disciple and told him something in a whisper. Then he went to the king and addressed him, O wisest of king, who is greater, the guru or the disciple? So guru वहाँ पहुँच जाता है and what happened now? वो सबसे पहले तो scold करता है disciple को and told something in a whisper. Then he went to the king and addressed him, O wisest of king, who is greater, the guru or the disciple? Now king said, of course the guru, no doubt about it. Now why do you ask? Then put me up to the stake first. Put my disciple to death after me. So गुरु बोलता है कि आप मुझे पहले डेथ पे डालो फिर मेरे डिसाइपल को डालना. So ये है गुरु. ये आपका बैग है? हाँ. ये बुक वाला. ये भी आगे. बहुत ज़्यादा कम बोल रहा है आपके पास. ये बहुत ठीक है. कुछ भी ठीक नहीं है. तो क्यों बनाते हो? क्यों बेवकूफ बनाते हो? काफी ठीक है. अभी आपको गरारे करने हैं और दिमाग मत लगाना ज़्यादा. अब ये बैग रह गया यार. So this is guru, this is disciple, this is king and this is minister. अब इन चारों का एक बड़ा मजेदार सा रोल आएगा. अब गुरु कहता है कि आप मुझे स्टेक पे पहले डालो, मुझे पहले मारो, फिर मेरे डिसाइपल को मारो. अब when disciple heard this, he understood and he began to clamor that me first. Clamor मतलब मुझे पहले वो लड़ाई करने लग गए. कौन? गुरु और disciple. Now you brought me here first. Who said this? Guru said this. Sorry, disciple said this. That you brought me here first. Put me to death first, not him. So डिसाइपल बोलता है कि आप मुझे पहले मारो उसके बाद किसी को मारना. वेदांता के क्या लगता है? इनका पैसा बनाना उद्देश्य. Now what happened next? The guru and the disciple now got into a fight about who shall be first sentenced to death. अब जो किंग था वो puzzled हो गया that why they want to die first. We chose him. So he said, the king said, why do you want to die? क्यों मरना चाहते हो? We have chosen him because we needed a fat man for the stake. तो हमने इसको इसलिए चुना है डिसाइपल को. हमें एक फैट मैन चाहिए जो स्टेक में फिट हो जाए, जिसको हम पहले मार दें. The guru and the disciple now got into a fight about. Array, sorry, एक second. Now, गुरु अब किंग बोलता है कि क्या कोई ऐसी मिस्ट्री है मरने के पीछे. सो विल यू प्रॉमिस. अब गुरु जी से वो पूछते हैं किंग. सो गुरु सेड दैट विल यू प्रॉमिस मी टू पुट मी डेथ फर्स्ट देन हिम. As the Guru, King said to him with his solemn words, yes, I am going to put you death first, then him. Now the Guru took him aside out of the servant's earshot and whispered to him, now do you know why we want to die right now, the two of us? Guru बोलता है, we have been all over the world, we have been all over the world, but we have never found a city like this. तो हम पूरी दुनिया घूमे लेकिन ऐसे सिटी नहीं गए हैं. और इस तरीके का राजा भी हमने कभी नहीं देखा है. अभी जो स्टेक है ना, ये एक स्पेशल स्टेक है. द स्टेक इज़ द स्टेक ऑफ द गॉड. भगवान की ये स्टेक है ऑफ जस्टिस. ये एकदम न्यू है और इसमें कोई भी अभी तक कोई क्रिमिनल चार्ज नहीं है. it does not never had a criminal on it. इसमें कोई अभी तक क्रिमिनल चार्ज नहीं है. and whoever died on it first, he will be born as the king of this country in the next round of life. तो कहते हैं गुरु कि जो भी इस से मरेगा स्टेक से, वो अगले जन्म में भी राजा बनेगा. and whoever goes next will be the future minister of the country. सो गुरु जो है वो पहले मरना चाहता था सो दैट वो राजा बन जाए, और फिर मिनिस्टर मरेगा. फिर वो चाहता था कि डिसाइबल मरे जिससे कि वो मिनिस्टर बन जाए. सो वो बोलता है, नाउ वी आर सिक, हम थक गए हैं ऑफ दिस एसेटिक लाइफ, दिस सन्यासी लाइफ, एंड इट वुड बी नाइस टू एन्जॉय आवरसेल्व्स एज किंग एंड मिनिस्टर्स फॉर अ वाइल. नाउ कीप योर वर्ड्स माय लॉर्ड एंड पुट मी टू डेथ मी फर्स्ट, रिमेंबर. सो अब गुरु कहता है कि ये बात है, अब आप मुझे पहले मारिए, फिर आप इसको मारिएगा, और आप अपने वादे से मत मुकरिएगा. Now what happened? The king was now thrown into a deep thought. अब किंग जो था वो सोचने लगा कि मैं क्या करूं. सो अब वो क्या करता है, वो he didn't want to lose the kingdom to someone else in the next round of the life. वो नहीं चाहता था कि उसकी किंगडम नेक्स्ट राउंड ऑफ लाइफ में किसी के पास हो. he needed time. तो वो ऑर्डर करता है द एग्जीक्यूशन पोस्टपोन्डेड टू द नेक्स्ट डे. एग्जीक्यूशन को पोस्टपोन किया जाए नेक्स्ट डे पर. and talked in secret with his ministers. It's not right for us to give over the kingdom to others in the next life. तो ये गलत होगा कि हम अपनी किंगडम को किसी और को दे दें अपने नेक्स्ट राउंड ऑफ लाइफ में भी. अपने मिनिस्टर को किंग कहता है. So let's go on the stake ourselves and we will be born as the king and the ministers again. So कहता है कि हम जो हैं वो अगले जन्म में भी किंग और मिनिस्टर बनना चाहते हैं. होली मैन डू नॉट टेल लाइज, ही सेड, एंड द मिनिस्टर्स एग्री. अब जो मिनिस्टर था उसका वो मान गया. सो ही टोल्ड द एग्जीक्यूशनर्स, वी विल सेंड द क्रिमिनल टुनाइट. आज रात को क्रिमिनल आएंगे, और व्हेन द फर्स्ट मैन कम टू यू, जब पहला मैन आए तो उसको पहले मारोगे, फिर जो दूसरा है उसको दूसरी बार में मारोगे. Those are my orders, you have to follow them. You are abide by all those rules and regulations, you must have to follow them. Don't make any mistake. Now what happened that night, the king and the ministers were secretly went to the prison, released the Guru and disciple, and disguised them as the Guru and the disciples. And as arranged beforehand with loyal servant, were taken to the stake and promptly killed और उनको मार दिया गया. So you can see कि ये राजा है, किंग है, ये मिनिस्टर है, राइट. एंड ये जो है ये गुरु है, ये डिसाइपल. सो गुरु डिसाइपल बाहर निकाल दिए गए और जो मिनिस्टर और किंग था वो अंदर आ गए. सो यू कैन सी द स्माइलिंग फेसेस, द क्लेवर फेसेस, एंड यू सी देम एज वेल, किस तरह से वो दिख रहे हैं. Now, when the bodies were taken down to the throne to be thrown to crows and vultures, the people panicked. They saw before them the dead bodies of the king and the ministers. The city was in a confusion. All night they mourned and discussed the future of the kingdom. Some people suddenly thought of the Guru and town unnoticed. Now we people need a king and a minister, said someone. Now others agreed. They begged the Guru and the disciple to be their king and their ministers. It didn't take many arguments to persuade the disciple, but it took a long time. It took a lot of time to persuade the Guru. They finally agreed to rule the kingdom of the foolish kings and the silly ministers on the condition that they could change all the laws, old laws. तो अब वो राजा बन जा. अब होता क्या है कि उनको नया राजा चाहिए होता है और मिनिस्टर. सो अब राजा बन जाते हैं और मिनिस्टर बन जाते हैं गुरु एंड डिसाइपल. एंड नाउ in one condition they became the guru and the king and the minister, that all silly laws are going to come to an end, and from then on night would be again night, day would again be day, and you could not get nothing for one doo. So nothing is going to be of only one doo, because and this kingdom became like any other normal kingdom. So this is your whole chapter. So thank you, bye bye.